jungle away, and a good deny out of PoE. This is Golden Guardians having seen how many games TSM struggles with the Azir pick, whether it's having to pick it themselves early so that it doesn't get denied, or having a really lackluster answer with the Corki against it. So taking away the Azir, pairing it with the Graves, already having a really strong mid 2v2 and a fantastic late game. If they get to late game, it's going to be really difficult to deal with Azir through a smoke screen.
Also an ultra comfortable champion for AblazeOlive. If you followed his actually fairly long career in Academy, this is, I think, easily his most played champion. Certainly one of the ones he's looked best on when he did win a championship on TSM Academy. Now he's playing against his old organization, which is always fun, but Syndra going to be the answer here for PoE. Certainly a matchup that they would both be very, very, very familiar with.
Yeah, Syndra against Azir, just classic mid setup. It's going to be really dangerous with the Olaf being able to just run down the Azir. So if he gets stunned by Syndra, then the Olaf ultimate will allow him to overcome the Emperor's Divide, and it's a really easy pickup there. So it's all as long as the AblazeOlive is not in stun range, though, the mid matchup should just be a big farm fest. And curious now to see what TSM can do with Huni on this Gragas, because Huni has not been playing these champions that win lane. He's been playing so much for utility, whether it's the Gangplanks or even the Lulus. The Gangplank focusing a lot more on the global aspect, not on the lane dominance. And so Gragas here, again, more on team fight, and Niles has been getting picked on, so I don't think they're going to get a lot of gold from Golden Guardians this game.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting midway point for Niles in his champion pool. Obviously known for things like Jace, things like Kled, things like Camille. Wants to be very aggressive in lane. He has played tanks every now and then, but certainly I think he's most comfortable on more carries, and he is the kind of player that I think will refuse to take any matchup or he isn't able to dominate the 1v1. So Gnar certainly very good in a lot of isolated situations, but is maybe a bit better on the team play side, right? Because you can commit your ultimate, you can actually be kind of a front laner while still being, a 1v1 side lane threat, even if it's not the same level as like a Jace or an Aurelia or something like that.
Yeah, and really interesting here that the Seraphine that has been so important for the beginning of this 11.3 patch is now all the way in the second phase of picks and bans. I think this tells me that the teams just have higher priorities than the Seraphine. Maybe not as practiced at it, especially when it comes to maybe playing an unorthodox bottom lane. So if it's going to be very obvious where the Seraphine is going, you're not getting value from the flex pick. And so the teams are just saying, we're both struggling with finding our identities, so let's just play comfort and move away from what is just meta and very strong right now, and fear looking like a fool because we're not comfortable with these picks.
Well, I will say Senna has definitely been rising in power. I mean, I think she's already extremely powerful, but we've seen a couple Sennas today. They've both won for what it's worth, so very small sample size. But I think a champion that is very overbearing if she gets any sort of lead, whether it's farming or the fasting Senna, which I think is maybe becoming more of the popular style. So Stixxay certainly threatening the almost infinite scaling power of Senna, but Lost actually going to go back to Ezreal, not a pick we see all that often, but I believe did receive a very small buff recently, and SwordArt, what's he going to settle on? Looks at Yuumi, but Bard seems a bit more appropriate.
Oh yeah, Bard. So I think when you see TSM, when they have SwordArt, a player that loves to shock call, a big leader, you start to see that TSM is going to be favoring these engaged champions way more than the enchanters. So a Bard is a pick that fits right in the middle, both sustaining in the lane and also being able to set up your team in the team fight. Although what's very interesting to me, though, Pastry, is that TSM have been crazy discoordinated for the beginning of the tournament. These two champions, Gragas and Bard, have the most potential for fumbling a fight for your own team. So I need to see a very different TSM if they're going to be playing these kinds of champions. Otherwise, you could just see huge flops from them.
Yeah, it's always volatile thing giving big playmaking spells when your team is needing to play maybe a bit more simply, a bit more together, and is still building up the teamwork and cohesion. So I'll call it a risk, but SwordArt very competent on the Bard. I think Huni is weirdly evolved into a tank player. Never in my life did I think that Huni and Impact would converge on champion pools, but that kind of feels like the direction we're heading these days, at least with how Huni's been playing early on TSM. But last pick there was Thresh, which feels more like a farming center, and newbie's going to be playing more of a classical support. But again, I still think as long as you collect souls and get gold, Senna's good. So not too worried there for Stixxay, even if he is taking not the fasting center this time.
Yeah, and Senna is just always relevant globally as well. So it's the trend that Golden Guardians continues to try to play, whether it's Twisted Fate, Gangplank, and now the Senna, wherever they can get tools that affect cross-map plays, they're picking them, and it's really allowing them to come together and find synergy when the players are new to both the LCS and playing as a team.
Yep, certainly a lot of comfort here as well on, I think, both sides, but certainly the Golden Guardian side. So we'll see if Iconic can indeed get ahead of Spica's Olaf, who has Ghost this time around. Not something we see all that often actually these days, but obviously very powerful and significantly lower cooldown than Flash if you're trying to get stuff done early and often on Olaf.
So might want to see him just use that liberally. If he can start to trade Ghost for flashes, that's when you start to get a lot more value for it. So run straight to a lane, gank it with your Ghost, get a flash, and then you can return with Ghost while they still don't have that summoner up. So it's a possibility, although nowadays the jungle is just so often relegated to power farming the camps that are constantly spawning, that making value out of those ganks at the perfect timing without missing on jungle camps is very difficult.
Certainly is, as teams are to spread out very defensively here. It does seem like junglers will be starting on the top side of the rift, but can always move down. But it's just a couple wards, basically like facing each other in that top side river there for TSM and Golden Guardians, guarding the river on the TSM side and the back of the red buff there for Golden Guardians. But it looks like neither jungler is going to get much of a leash. I think Huni is going to help out Spica, which is very generous, but other than that, nothing to really worry about. And Niles, kind of as expected, he's already forward up in the brush, hoping that Gragas walks in the lane early.
But that's exciting, though, not getting a leash. And although Huni did use mana, and so that should be the giveaway for Golden Guardians, that Spica is in the top side. So if they know that the Olaf will be pathing to the bot side, looking for action in the bot lane, then we can start to see what Iconic will do with his pathing, though. Because otherwise, we're going to end up with fights over the bot lane Scuttle Crab, which are always exciting to see, because the bot laners of Thresh and Bard are super important for these early roams.
Yeah, certainly can be adding a lot of utility. Even Senna, also very significant, especially if she's got that root leveled up. So going to be battling for the wave here in the 2v2 as expected. Lost certainly has had a rough, I guess call it, re-entrance into the LCS, despite being around NA for a very long time, actually. He was the first Oceanic player to make his way to North America and try his hand competing here. And always been very talented, been very good in Academy, especially last year, alongside Treats. But I think, again, kind of the theme for TSM has been learning to fit all these pieces together when really no one's ever played together before. In fact, no one on this team has ever played with each other before, I guess with the exception of Lost and Spica, who likely played in Academy. So we'll see. Ezreal certainly a pick that you can make work of and is pretty self-reliant. As Niles on the top side is getting the wave pushed in. Ahead right now, but Huni should be able to catch all these waves, and looks like Niles is going to go back. We see this a lot now in top lane, where every top laner wants to get aggressive early, but pretty much have to back on that third wave here because you don't want to get killed by the enemy jungler. Nice hook by newbie into the play. Root lands as well there for Stixxay, so a big chunk of change on to SwordArt.
Okay, but TSM have a TP on the AD, so they're not really interested in taking any of these trades. As long as they get a little bit of harassment, they are happy here, but it is also a Senna with the heal, so now you got a 3-on-3. SwordArt hits level 3 now, though, but they have to respect that. So did Stixxay and Newbie. So they back off, and that early fight that we predicted that would happen in the bot lane skirmish goes the way of Golden Guardians because the bot lane has priority.
Yeah, Iconic is going to get the crab as a result. He was a level down up against Spica, but is now going to ding level 4. So Spica a bit faster through some more camps there, but didn't matter for Iconic in the potential 3v3 because it didn't happen. Spica is going to run to the top side and take that crab instead. Iconic's going to go ahead and help out his mid laner, getting the wave pushed in, but is not going to be able to get to this crab by the looks of things. In fact, he's not even going to go and contest it. Iconic's actually just going to take a recall.
Oh, I love it. I always keep my eye on the minimap here when these Scuttle Crab fights are happening. And so when Iconic goes straight through the mid lane, hoping to maybe double Crab Spica, the supports of Newbie and SwordArt actually are following through the river at the same time. So if any altercation were to happen in the top side, supports would have been ready to fight and support their junglers out. So very nice to see that the supports are very ready to take these fights, even though the score is still 0-0. Everybody's looking and waiting for the opportunity to get the good fight.
Yep, Stixxay following out nicely though. Unlike the other Senna games we've seen today, Marksman CS is going to matter head-to-head this time around, so Stixxay actually almost 2 waves ahead of Lost right now, who's picking up a couple under his tower, but not all that many. Niles almost got the Naba back to full. is doing a good job of staying up in XP just slightly, staying up in farm also just slightly. But Huni, again, it is just so fascinating to me that Huni is almost a completely different player. Like, he is just playing weak side, he's chilling out, he's picking tanks and getting pushed in by the new guy, which is the thing Huni was known for when he came onto the scene.
This is why I thought that Golden Guardians were actually going to have a good matchup against TSM, because every time that Golden Guardians has been getting crushed, it's because they camp Niles and they get so much gold from the top side. But because Huni has this new look on TSM, which is tank, utility role, not at all about laning, then Niles isn't getting exploited. He's able to farm and be super aggressive in this lane, and now there is a point where Golden Guardians can hit the mid game evenly, and that's not a place where they have been particularly bad. They have had some games where it looks like they're not doing anything, but in other games, newbies just on point, getting some really good engages. So to try to put that as the place where TSM wants to fight against Golden Guardian, even in the mid game as decision making, just doesn't strike me as something that a TSM that spent so much this season would go as their game plan against Golden Guardians.
All right, well, SwordArt is clearing up vision here in the river because there is a Cloud Dragon that teams want to look at. 6 minutes, that's perfectly fine time for a Cloud Drake, especially for someone like Olaf. Graves also not bad. Good hook though. Lands in onto SwordArt. He's going to get flayed, and the magical journey will take him over the wall. And no one from Golden Guardians follows, probably correctly, but it's always nice to see them click through the portal and just, you know, take a gamble.
Yeah, SwordArt still had exhaust though, so while it looked like maybe if Iconic used his Q a little differently, he could have gotten more damage, still would have been very risky to overcommit for that, and you're happy that you get the Dragon for this. This is free. TSM isn't getting anything on the top side. The Olaf is farming, he's not getting blue buff, he's not getting Herald, so Golden Guardians just waits in a brush and gets really paid for that. And if they can start stacking these dragons early, the team with Azir and Senna is always going to love having Soul as a win condition.
Yeah, like you said, always look for the supports when there's any early game play happening here. Of course, look for the junglers too, but Iconic was already down there alongside Newbie. Golden Guardians get their little bit of damage on the SwordArt, force the flash, and get the dragon as a result of their play. So nice little early game there. Gold is technically ahead for Golden Guardians, but it's not a significant lead, as PowerOfEvil is going to go ahead and grab his first donation of the blue buff. Spica going to start that up very nicely. PowerOfEvil going to buy a bit of extra time for his jungler by picking up the buff himself and carrying it back over to the wall. But other than that, it's pretty chilled out. Farm pretty even top. Stixxay is pretty significantly ahead in the 2v2 right now, even though the wave is pushing and it's pretty big towards TSM. But Lost avoiding the hook is going to go a long way to keeping the health bars topped up here, because the trading has certainly been in favor of the Senna and the Thresh early on.
I've been very happy with Stixxay on Golden Guardians because
he's been great.
When his split on CLG was abysmal. It felt like so many of us were looking at Stixxay, but before that, there is a fight.
Lost is baiting, and Spica's going to run in there. There's the Ghost. Level 6 already, going to force Newbie to flash. Stixxay going to grab the Lantern and be A-OK. In fact, turns it back around. Maybe going to look for the W, but it does not connect on the Ezreal. But to your point, Crumbzz, I agree. I think Stixxay, you know, long-time CLG player, won a championship on that team, looked great on MSI in that CLG run, but hasn't been the same for this guy for a while. And on Golden Gardens, he does feel somewhat renewed as a player.
Yes, it's exactly. That's the story I want to tell. It's that players can look entirely different when they're on different teams, whether it's junglers that get really affected by the lanes or even just an AD. The pairing that you have with your support makes such a world of difference. So seeing Stixxay, who looked like one of the bottom ADs, now consistently a solid bright spot for Golden Guardians is really good to see, because now we really are starting to understand, well, how these veterans can go through ups and downs in their careers, and how maybe so many of these ups and downs aren't entirely their own play, but rather the teams they find themselves in.
It's funny, like, he's really gone through like the whole cycle now, right? He started as a completely new player that no one knew, won a trophy, looking really good, kind of like maybe the next, you know, NA talent in AD, kind of went through a rough patch of not playing nearly as well, and now he's on the development team as the veteran, as Iconic's ganking down to the bottom side, but SwordArt's going to dodge it. Lost just going to throw some poke out, and everything's going to dissipate here. So no action yet, because Iconic is being very persistent in this area of the map.
Oh yeah, and I mean, we got a little golf League of Legends here, because Olaf is doing the Rift Herald in the top, and no one is here. I mean, if Niles is using the ultimate to just clear the wave, you know there's absolutely no action happening. If both teams want to scale, I am loving my chances as Golden Guardians, because that's the team that I was most afraid of if they were to mismanage a laning phase or start getting dove. But TSM, without the coordination to make dives,
Huni,
They're
big
not
play.
getting anything.
Nice attempt there, flashes in, but doesn't quite connect because Niles flashes out. Rift Herald is still on the table, iconic. Maybe fancying a smite steal, but lost with a big True Shot Barrage. Does get the damage down. The eye goes over, but I believe TSM did get it. Indeed, Huni will pick it up. Newbie can look for that Q, but it's not going to land as Tempered Fate did lock up AblazeOlive, but only temporarily. So Golden Guardians do actually poke in to try and look for a fight, but nobody dying in the exchange. Still 10 minutes through and no first blood.
I think both teams saw that they could have easily lost the game right there. They haven't done anything this game. It's 10 minutes in. It's only 700 gold up, negligible on the side of Golden Guardians. So seeing a 5v5 happen right there at the Rift Herald, both teams are thinking, if we commit to this right now, we could just lose the game. There's enough committed from both sides that we could just lose right now. Are we sure we want to put our game on the line when we have these kinds of compositions with an Azir and a Senna? So they rightfully back off and don't take a big fight. So I like that the teams were quite hesitant in taking that fight, and that's why TSM was looking for one, because they, on the flip side, who struggle to get these fights, are just looking for anything they can get.
Yeah, good exchange there in top lane there. I mean, like you said, like we just saw Niles use his ulti on the wave, and then they went for a 5v5, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about that one, but Golden Guardians do disengage, just poking in, trying to see if they can maybe get something, which is always nice when you have a Thresh. The bottom side still, junglers spending quite a lot of their time here, just making sure they can control this side of the river. 30 seconds until that next dragon is up. It will be Infernal, which means that that won't be the soul for this game, which is often a point of sadness. It should be just fine here again. Stixxay farming up a storm. Got to be pretty close to that mythic.
How the junglers keep ending down into the bot side, just because their camps are spawning in that bot side at the same time. The Gromp and the Krug simultaneously spawning for the junglers, so they keeps bringing them down here. And Dragon is spawning, and this is a really bad reset on TSM side. SwordArt is missing, and it's only Olaf on the map, so he won't be able to defend anything. Iconic trying to rush this out. They are in sight with that scuttle, so Golden Guardians is doing this right in the face of TSM. Yeah,
nice work from Newbie though. Just checking the brush, being like, hey, there could be someone in there, and indeed they do find the Olaf. SwordArt here ready with the ulti though. Stixxay going to try and cut him up, but he misses that skill shot. SwordArt also not able to land that slow, so TSM are on the objective. Who's going to collect it? Iconic low. The dragon does go over to AblazeOlive, but Golden Guardians now lost in the fight as Iconic locked up there by the Bard ulti. Does flash over the wall. Niles almost about to go mega as the route into the dragon pit is leaving Huni left for dead. It's Newbie that finds the play just barely over the wall, and that's first blood to AblazeOlive. Second blood over to Niles as Golden Guardians maybe find a third as Newbie grabs a massive hook. AblazeOlive by the double kills. He solos out the TSM jungler, and that's 4 straight for the Golden Guardians.
Oh, baby. Golden Guardians is taking down TSM. 3,000 gold up. That is a huge play out of them. And they even get the dragon. It really could not have been better. I don't think I mean, let's take a look first, because a big thing here was that Stixxay is entirely by himself, free firing. It's a big fat shield, and then the Bard ultimate combo with Gragas doesn't do a whole lot. Azir with the steal does so much to zone when PoE is inside the pit. What can PoE do? He cannot get out of here, so he has to flash away, and the rest of the team just gets routed. And a great hook there out of Newbie. It looks like that hook was possibly blind. I'm not sure if that control ward was in that brush or not, but regardless, great hook to follow up.
Well, the man's always smiling. Niles continues to do so after that exchange there, but a very, very good-looking play for Golden Guardians. That fight basically split into 2 or 3 different pieces, and Golden Guardians won every single piece of that fight as Niles now. This is a bit more what he's used to, Crumbzz. 4 people in the top lane there. He's going to run back towards his tier 2.
That's more like it. He needs the emote. We got to see the little marshmallow or the camp emote. That's more the Niles way, making sure that you know that you're not camping him without him at least having some style doing it. And it's a lot of members committed on the top side, so they're going to use this Rift Herald to try to erase Golden Guardians, and they will be winning this. I need to see what the GG response is to this, because they could lose 2 if Niles is bold enough to defend in their face.
Yeah, Niles does want to kill this Rift Herald, but it's still 2 up here for TSM alongside the Herald, so Herald's just going to get that second charge in. Oh, Huni making the play. Niles now going to get knocked back in. This time Huni finds a combo, but Niles hops over the head of Huni. Is going to maybe be okay, but Lost is absolutely going to seal that kill. Does have to flash. so gets the auto down, but that could be 2 towers as well. Very well played by TSM in the 2v1 dive. Here's AblazeOlive. He's 2-0 already. He's got the Leandry's finish, Crumbzz.
Don't do it.
But he's in a 1v4. I take everything I said back. All the soldiers up, and that is a disaster. Tempered fate. Good ulti actually scoops him back in, but it's going to be a shutdown. Huni does not die. The wrong part of the Senna ulti is there. Actually, the burn was enough to get the trade kill. So 1-for-1 at the end of it all, but AblazeOlive throwing away a bit of bounty gold.
Okay, Golden Guardians needs to see these plays. They happen so often against Niles in the top side where TSM is clearly looking for more into the top side, and either Niles is not respecting it or Golden Guardians is not doing something about it quickly enough, because losing AblazeOlive there, he was 2-0. He was very powerful. You needed to have him continuing to farm, and that's a big loss there, losing that mid laner right there when you knew that TSM had multiple members top side.
Yeah, just a little bit discoordinated. Sure, we'll go with it there. As Niles will watch this dive again. Just so well set up by Huni.
When he's mini and there's a tank and an AD, TSM is going to try this. There's really no reason why they shouldn't. They know that the AD and support on the enemy team are in the bot side, and then Huni's staying here. He's just being very cheeky here. He actually did not need to do anything whatsoever, so he's giving a little bit more gold over to the side of Golden Guardians, making sure that they don't lose so much. I mean, you see it, and it looks so unnecessary. He could have even gotten the assist from the initial barrel, so there is no need to slam.
Yeah, just barely got it as well. I believe Leandry's plus Corrupting Potion was the only reason AblazeOlive got that kill, as TSM are under the Rift Turret here. Going to grab the second one of the game. So Golden Guardians are up 2-0 in Dragons. Will be excellent if they can grab that third and get themselves the Ocean Soul point nice and early. But if not, TSM have basically equalized that gold lead. They lost to Team Pipe 4-0, and they've taken a couple kills and 2 towers off the back of that here to shrink that gold lead to about 1,300 still ahead for Golden Guardians. So good work for TSM on the other side of it all to find the plays, even though Golden Guardians perhaps walked into them. But AblazeOlive is getting things done down here in the bottom side. Does at least make sure that tower goes down and is going to force Huni to react. I think if Golden Guardians are looking to play around anyone in this mid game, it does have to be their mid laner.
Yeah, he has the strongest items right now, although the Senna is slowly getting there. You want to start playing around her when he has that Rage Blade. And yeah, I think credit goes to TSM for looking for that play. A little less against Golden Guardians for going for the response right afterwards. But the fact that TSM has only really looked for one play thus far is looking really good here for GG. Niles is about to hit Mega, and with Flash available, a big ultimate is in the making.
Yeah, I actually like what Stixxay has been doing, like hiding people in the Black Mist, trying to see if they can pop up maybe like a Thresh, as newbie is actually going to be hunting here. TSM going to aggro this Drake. They know they need to take this. Pretty important to make sure the enemy team doesn't go up 3-0, but Niles is ready for the play! Finds the wall follow-up, and there's the ulti out. Wow. The hook is good, and Lost just gets obliterated by Golden Guardians. Now Iconic over the side is trying to finish off the Drake. It's 5v4 for Golden Guardians, and that's enough. TSM are out of there.
I cannot imagine a more picture-perfect play where the engage goes in and then it parts the seas. Hook hits right on the AD carry. It really could not have been more perfect that you picked Lost out of thin air out of that. And Niles with a big flash, I mean, it doesn't get multiple members, but you do get the flash from PoE. So now you have another target that you can go after next time. So whether it's AblazeOlive or Niles again, they have somebody that they can go after. So let's take a look at him going in. Flashes in, right, gets another one, but now watch newbie flash hooks, comboing Niles' stun that he followed up with his own ultimate, which was just giant. And then the Bard ultimate there, it just kind of helps them out, allows Golden Guardians to reset and get their bearings about and continue the fight.
Yeah, really sick combination there by Golden Guardians. It almost looks like Niles like shoving them away, which is obviously not what you want, but picking off an Ezreal like that, even though Lost didn't have Flash, very impressive setup there between the top laner and the support. Newbie's really been on point all game long with this Thresh, which isn't much of a surprise, to be perfectly honest, as AblazeOlive continuing to find pressure in these side lanes. Lost and PowerOfEvil will push down the bottom outer. AblazeOlive is going to answer here in the top side. So Golden Guardians, sorry, still kind of playing catch-up on structures here, but winning the fight, certainly finding those picks and all 5v5s. And given that they're up on a very quick soul point here for the Ocean, and Stixxay starting to unleash the Kraken on Huni there in mid lane. Although TSM pushing through once again, Niles cannot defend this on his own. So Golden Guardians a bit slow to respond to these pushes.
Yeah, they are just pushing the top side here in the tier 2. I don't think they're going to be able to get anything for it, not even the mid tier 1. So just a nice little move out of TSM, being able to find the turret without losing much. The fact that they didn't lose a whole lot is what I think makes that play worthwhile, because so often going forward at tier 2 doesn't really net you enough on the map, whether it's vision control or gold. There's no plates on it, so it's not like it's as cash flow centric as the first 3 turrets. So I think that TSM just got away with a nice little turret that could help them out if they want to take a fight in this next dragon and get some deep vision on the blue side.
All right, well, taking a look at the marksman, actually. Oh, they've both got their 2 items completed. Perfect segue there, as Stixxay did go for the Kraken Slayer, as expected. Rageblade now done, as the Rage Knife has been evolved. But Essence Reaver Duskblade here for Lost, which, as far as I'm aware, is the wave for current Ezreal builds, but certainly something haven't seen too often in the past, but has been a bit more popular recently, thanks again to Optimal Team out of stats for the info.
It's going to really hurt, right? The lethality is really going to sting on this Ezreal. There's no one building armor, and the Olaf being the other physical damage threat makes it so that no one really will build armor moving forward. It's just going to be AP, but a play onto AblazeOlive. He has flash.
Yeah, pretty low though, has to get out, but the shield is not enough, just barely. I think the last sphere killed him, as Niles now running in, but he's got no backup here. Was going to only be a 2v3 with just the Azir tower up, so AblazeOlive cannot save himself, Niles can't save his mid laner, and TSM get a very nice pick.
I think TSM found their spot right here. Keep coming back to this tier 2 tower. Clearly, Golden Guardians is not responding to this one very well. Maybe it's just the top side that Golden Guardians has a hard time with, but this is just another freebie on the side of TSM that slowly keeps the gold steady. Remember, about 10 minutes ago, it was Golden Guardians up about 3,000, that it hasn't grown and it's only yielded dragons and has in fact shrunk a little bit, is really good for TSM because they have been continuing to be assertive. That's what I'm looking out here, that TSM has not stopped looking for ways back, and Golden Guardians still really struggling with them finding the opportunities for them to really win the game. I think Dragon is what they're waiting for, but I need to see some more deliberate movement for setting up vision that will then set up a really good team fight.
TSM trying to kick Golden Guardians out of the Baron half of the map, and do so successfully. They'll grab that Scuttle Crab, as Huni is actually kind of cut off the entrance here for Niles to potentially move down and get vision for themselves. Golden Guardians, as you mentioned, do want to secure this next dragon. But TSM with full map control right now. In fact, they're already starting to...
Oh, baby.
Very cheeky.
Okay, there is one scrying orb on the side of Golden Guardians, and AblazeOlive is in range. Oh, they don't know. They're really not thinking about it. It's only Huni, guys. Someone has to check. They see it now. It's too late, though.
5k, yeah. I think Baron's just dead. They're going to check way too late. The orb, I think, actually went down. Yeah, he did use it, but that's Baron gone. TSM sneak it at 22.5 minutes, and Golden Guardians is left thinking, hey, where'd the buff go?
Golden Guardians can still take a fight, though, because they now have the inside track on the Dragon. If they have the better positioning, they can still win out against a Baroned up TSM. Gnar is mega and has flash again, but so do the carries on TSM.
I like Niles here, just kind of playing goalie, keeping them out. But TSM are going to move in there. Huni actually into the pit.
Oh.
Now going to get the initiation starter, finds 2 there, but Niles is going to counter-engage in. And now into the back of the pit goes Spica, trying to kill off Iconic, but the shield boost keeping him alive for so long as AblazeOlive takes down Huni. The Dragon goes over, but Huni steals it amongst the chaos, and Spica is going to fall down. So Golden Guardians, they'll win the team fight 2-for-1, but they don't get the soul.
Oh boy, that is so messy. So many different fights were happening at the same time, but the Golden Guardians' focus looked like it should have been on the Dragon, because the Olaf went straight in by himself, but he went for a 1v1 against Graves. Nobody was there to follow up, despite Gnar having done a good job zoning in and then jumping away, not putting himself in harm's way. So I like this initiation from Niles, right? Sees the carries. All right, should I jump in? No, flashing in, then jumping away. But then Olaf is here in the back, and there's nothing to help him out. There's no heals from Senna. There's no lanterns, no shields, no nothing. And you wonder if just a little bit of help would have gone to the Graves' way. You get the Dragon, and then you win the fight most certainly, because it's going to be an Ocean Soul on you.
Well, I'm not sure which junglers smited or if they both did, but the number I saw before Huni took it was 26, so very close to that Dragon going either way, but Huni does indeed grab the last hit. And Golden Guardian's going to have to wait another 4 minutes for that Ocean Soul to come back around. Meanwhile, TSM, we've got the Red Bull Baron buff in play. Minute 15 still to play with. did get mid out already, but haven't really pushed too much else out. They have, though, taken the gold lead, which is nice for them, up a couple hundred after Golden Guardians have held the lead for so long since winning that 4-0 team fight. But it does feel like the game is starting to slip away from GG here. TSM going to be on the offensive, of course, for the remainder of this Baron, but once the game resets and that Dragon respawns, and of course once the Baron comes back as well, I wonder if Golden Guardians can find like 1 or 2 steps sooner around these objectives, because they don't need much to open this game up, but it's kind of the same for TSM as well. So balanced pretty precariously, even though Golden Guardians should feel comfortable as the game goes later with the comp they've drafted.
They should, but it's not. They're not feeling comfortable being the first to make a play. Right now, with the Baron still on TSM, it's really difficult for them to go after anything, and they'll probably will lose 1 or 2 more turrets, and instead they're just going to use the rest of this to chase down Niles, who's sure to dead.
M-Tank is getting Huni in there, but Huni, Niles maybe can get out. He's going to have to hop out, but the cask, I think, actually maybe helped him. Does get a bit of health back there, and our Golden Guardians looking for the counter plays. PowerOfEvil finds the stun, gets the kill with it as a result, and somehow Spica lives through just about everything Golden Guardians had left to throw at them.
Ooh, really close. If you would have traded 1 for 1, it would have been really nice, although I think this is the end of the TSM play anyways, and so the loss of that fight will just lose them the rest of the jungle and some more control on this side. So Golden Guardians will have to fight for this again if they want to get vision down before the 2 minutes timer on the Ocean Soul that they desperately want as a win condition here. So if they can make sure that they get a good 5v5 then this game is still within reach.
Yep, I think at this point can call the game basically even. Yes, TSM do have to fend off the Ocean Soul for the rest of the game, but at this point, Golden Guardians don't really have all that much space. They can collect some gold by taking towers, especially if they get something like a Baron. So they can retake the lead, but I think the same is true for TSM. If they get another Baron, I think they can push themselves far enough ahead that it's going to be tough for Golden Guardians to find a way back in. And plays like this are going to help Newbie getting trashed by that damage. My goodness. Dustblade, Essence Reaver, and a Tiamat on top as Lost just wipes out Newbie off the Rift.
Hey, should be good for that Ravenous Hydra next, and this is just a lot of damage out of this Ezreal. You never saw the build before, so it's hard to know how much damage he does, but just know that it hurts just as it always has. So stay away from him, don't get comboed, and don't face check. They can still wave clear this, though, and they could even afford to lose the Dragon, so TSM should not really get anything here. Azir's wave clear is too good. Yeah, they should rightfully back off. Golden Guardians can stall this one out and just concede the Dragon and buy themselves more time for a better team fight.
Yeah, losing the tier 2 in mid certainly hurts. It's 6-2 up in towers right now for TSM, which is a massive lead, not just in the gold that the towers give you, but in the control and kind of safety they provide as well. TP there for Lost. He's getting the wave accompanied into bot lane, but they know that, so Golden Guardians can look to make a 5v4 play. Niles going to get stopped by PoE. Massive stun. Finds through for the disengage. And now Lost has joined the team. The two-shot barrage actually going to do some poke onto AblazeOlive, but not that much, as Golden Guardians still counter-pushing here in mid, trying to basically open up space for them to actually fight for this next Dragon.
Golden Guardians don't have any tools to check brushes without getting hurt. It's really annoying for them to walk up, so they need these hooks in Azir to be right up there to actually harass anybody. Otherwise, they just have to clear the wave and hope that somebody survives. And when Niles goes Mega, that should be their key. He still has Flash again, but PoE has his again. Let's see if he gets another good engage. He's been the important and main engage for Golden Guardians twice already.
Really nice there for Lost, just soloing the Drake while TSM busy tying up Golden Guardians in mid. That will prompt them to go mid and at least try and open up the center of the map, which they will do. But TSM now on the offensive, ulti out of SwordArt almost clips them, but Huni finds Iconic there at the end of it all. But the Lantern actually going to save him. Stixxay now going to turn it back around, and he's unleashing hell onto Huni. SwordArt also in a little bit of trouble, but stun lands in onto Stixxay. The heal's still coming out, but he does have a flash and will be forced to commit it. Lost again with the burst damage. Is going to force Stixxay to run back. So Golden Guardians, no one dies, but they're going to lose that exchange as TP's coming in for TSM.
It's not over yet.
Lines it up. Newbie going to get the flavor. Huni finds a double belly bop, and the ult from Stixxay is not going to save anyone as TSM finally in the extended play will get 2 clean ones.
Oh, and now they can go towards Baron, and it looks like that Baron power play never ended. They can just get it and continue the onslaught. And now the poke from the Ezreal is really going to get nasty because the push is now getting Baroned up again with less turrets to defend, with the Syndra that also is going to have a death cap. So it's getting really tricky for Golden Guardians. They hooked Gragas, but they even used everything on him, yet he still was able to survive. And here's where Iconic, I think you just have to flash. Even getting out of here is very lucky. I think if Huni had a better placement of his ultimate, he would have died right away. So the fact that he lives is just a big blessing. And then the TP is the icing on the cake here, because it's a really fat slam that gets 2 people. And when the Thresh is right next to the one that is hopefully getting lanterned out, that's a really nice feeling, because getting lanterned out of the target you're going after always sucks. So countering Thresh when you can do it is amazing.
I think that's just kind of indicative of kind of how the mid game's been going, though. The fact that that ward is even there for TSM, right, kind of shows how much control they've had over the top side of the map, kind of through this whole mid game. And without that ward, Huni cannot make that play, and TSM don't get this Baron. So that continued top side control, keeping that vision up, constantly punishing anyone overextended towards that top tier 2 has netted TSM the lead they have now, which is actually pretty significant. You know, 3,000-ish gold. And Golden Guardian's still fighting well. That's a good pluck on the SwordArt, but he is not going to live. I take it all back as AblazeOlive is able to finish it off. Now 5v4 Golden Guardians need to get more off this play.
Yeah, that was really bad. That's Baron power play, and your Bard is right up there. You have Flash and Ultimate, and could have maybe gone for an inhibitor push on that one, but that pick could just stop the Baron power play that's still a minute 30 up. So by the time they reset, get back on the map, and knock all the way on Golden Guardians' door, I think the Baron's already gone. So one pick is all it took, I think, to stop TSM's push.
All right, well, that is going to buy the 2 minutes Golden Guardians need to once again be fighting for the Ocean Soul. TSM have shut them out twice now. Once just barely, and once we'd lost just soloing it as TSM continue their strong control. I mean, just kind of looking at the amount of blue wards on the map relative
back up
to red ones, as Niles is...
Here we go again.
The scene, the first, second, third, and fourth crime. I guess we'll call it 5 there, as Niles is going to get a sphere dropped on his head. Huni's going to find the combination, and Spica's going to collect the kill.
It's like, I don't know what's happening in this lane of plays. Like, why is it always here? And Golden Guardians members continue to flash. Like, this Baron should not have happened. This should not be a Baron push. This Baron is about to expire. It's only one more push, 25 seconds on it, but because Gnar is dead, the push is actually going to be fairly effective. AblazeOlive is not here on time, so he doesn't have soldiers ready to go, and now TSM get a free inhibitor when it should have been another team fight at Dragon.
Yeah, and that's going to make fighting for this Dragon very, very challenging. As for 5 minutes, Super Minions will be pressuring the worst part of the map on the Golden Guardian side if they're trying to contest for this Dragon. So TSM quickly back. They actually take the last bit of their Baron buff and take the Empowered Recall, which is going to zoom them back over to the bottom half of the map. Golden Guardians know what's up. They have to fight for this next soul. It's kind of been their win condition since they took those first 2 and then 3 very quickly, but they've been kept away from that prize by TSM for far too long in their eyes. So Golden Guardians, once again, going to be grouping up, as Niles, with the TP, mind you, is going to be forced to deal with the supers in top lane. In fact, I just don't think Golden Guardians have enough map control to even contest for this Dragon.
They can still give this one up. It's third as well. TSM might be thinking of just going straight down the middle and looking for more. So if Golden Guardians doesn't want it, they don't need to take this one. And I think a big part of it is just they're not comfortable, clearly, with taking these fights. They're not getting a single engage on their own terms. It's only Niles that's thinking about looking. So if I'm Golden Guardians, I'm not Golden Guardians. I'm dead.
That wasn't even ult. I thought PowerOfEvil ulted. Didn't even need to. I think that was Ezreal plus the Syndra. Just the basic poke there as Niles is trying to dive into the backside, but Senna already dead as Spica just dives out of the tower. Niles is, of course, going to die on the onslaught, as this looks like an ace here out of TSM. Iconic is going to get Huni. AblazeOlive is going to die, and that's going to be your Bud Light ace. As the last one from GGS falls, and TSM are going to take a victory lap to the enemy Nexus.
Yep, they're going to go straight to the Nexus. They should end the game right here, and it's a really nice team fight out of them. They see the opportunity, instantly capitalize, and don't hesitate to seal this one. They want to be out of this one. It's 33 minutes in, so it's a good game time, but it didn't feel like it. So the faster they can be out of this one and thinking about the next game, the better for TSM.
All right, certainly some promise for Golden Guardians. The TSM, perhaps getting more and more put together as they do take the victory over Golden Guardians. I think expected in a lot of ways here. Both teams definitely still developing as teams, but from very different situations. But the victory does indeed go to TSM off the back of some, dare I say it, very strong tank play from Huni, which again is not a sentence I feel particularly comfortable saying. but he certainly did a lot of work when it came to finding angles in fights.
He did well, and now I just wonder what happens when TSM faces off against one of these teams that actually is being assertive in the mid game, because this is the problem that we're seeing out of Golden Guardians that we saw at CLG, just not finding these mid game opportunities to group up and accelerate the gold leads that you've amassed in laning phase. So I felt like Golden Guardians came out with some good leads, some good TP plays that had a gold lead, but when it came to getting more from those, they had no idea what to do, and so TSM just needed to find a few plays, and it looked like Golden Guardians never even tried to contest them in them, so TSM, being assertive, took the game.
I also think just a good bounce-back game for Lost, who's certainly, as one of the newest, in fact, I mean, they're, in a lot of ways, they're the newest members to TSM. You could argue Lost is less new because he played on the Academy side. But regardless, one of the newer players to the LCS. Certainly a player that I think has received quite a lot of criticism, perhaps not all of it deserved. But Ezreal, with kind of the new build that's hopping around these days, looking really nice alongside PoE as kind of the primary damage deal. So TSM, they'll take the victory, perhaps not the cleanest, but indeed they'll take the dub. After the break, though, we are going to be hearing from Spica and